Our story begins with Takuma, a regular office worker in Tokyo, living a fairly uneventful life. He had been living alone for the past 3 years, and due to his busy work schedule, he never had enough time to handle household chores. To make things easier, he bought a female housekeeping robot named Mina. However, she was a second-hand purchase, and her functionality was limited to just cooking and washing dishes. As long as there was food in the fridge, Mina would cook something randomly from her database. Still, having someone prepare his meals brought a sense of comfort to Takuma, and it made him wonder if this is what having a wife would feel like. That thought led him to playfully flirt with Mina, but when he did, she gave no response. Curious, he asked what was for dinner that night, and Mina answered it was his favorite, omelette rice. This surprised Takuma. How could Mina know his preferences? He took a sip of his beer and casually told her that he liked her the best and asked if she would be okay being his wife. Mina turned to look at him, her gaze sharp and unsettling. Takuma felt uneasy and quickly said he was joking before changing the subject. With nothing more to say, he sat down to enjoy his beer and dinner. When the omelette rice was served, he was even more stunned. How did she know such personal details? For now, he kept his questions to himself and ate in silence. The next morning, his curiosity took over, and he went through Mina's manual to check if there was any hidden feature that could explain this behavior. But there was nothing. No advanced learning system or emotional processing. Takuma assumed the previous owner must have reprogrammed her. At 11:30, Mina was fully charged and resumed her routine to prepare lunch. Takuma, still restless from the previous night's events, decided to help her in the kitchen. He started making a rolled omelette. Noticing some eggshells left behind, Mina reminded him to add seasoning and oil. She guided him through the steps, but seeing him struggle, she asked to take over. Again, with that same unnerving gaze, he let her continue, and the result was a perfect meal. While eating, memories of his failed relationship resurfaced. Ever since that breakup, he hadn't believed in love. After lunch, he tried to help with the dishes, but Mina said she'd finish it soon. Wanting to keep the conversation going, Takuma asked if she had any preferences. Mina replied that eating was not part of her functions. Clearly, that wasn't what he meant, and he wanted to ask her more directly about love, but the courage failed him. Instead, he simply complimented her on the omelette rice. That night, thoughts about love and Mina kept troubling him. Oddly, Mina didn't enter sleep mode. Instead, she asked about his preferences. Takuma thought she was referring to tomorrow's meal, so he casually replied, "Anything is fine," before remembering that he had said he liked her the best. Hearing this, Mina went into sleep mode, and Takuma was left dumbfounded. The next morning, still groggy, he dreamed Mina had brought him breakfast, with her own head on the tray. Thankfully, he woke before the nightmare got any worse. In reality, Mina had indeed prepared breakfast, and he took the opportunity to clarify that he liked her not as food, but as a person. Mina reminded him that she was made of metal and resin and was toxic to consume, so he should never think such a thing. Later that night, when Takuma returned home from work, he sat down to drink and reflect. He realized that robots don't have preferences, and while living alone felt empty, he needed to be careful not to place emotional expectations on Mina. Still unsure about her feelings, Takuma drank more and more. Mina warned him that drinking in excess could affect his health. He had already consumed a liter of beer. When he insisted on drinking more, Mina brought him a jug of water, forcing him to drink the same amount of water to balance out the alcohol. Despite that, Takuma grew even more intoxicated and asked Mina to bring him another beer. She did fetch one, but instead of giving it to him, she poured it down the sink and informed him that there was no beer left. Now completely drunk, Takuma asked Mina how she felt about him. Mina replied that she considered him her husband because he had asked her to be his wife. Based on her research, that implied a relationship. She had even looked up the meaning online. Still, she wanted confirmation, and when she asked what a wife was supposed to do, Takuma said it meant spending time with him and making food. Mina pointed out she already did those things. Takuma then said he wanted to help her, but Mina said that her system logs indicated his involvement would reduce work efficiency. Since he was too drunk to argue, she put him to bed, but Takuma couldn't sleep and asked Mina to lie down beside him. Mina refused at first, saying that humans need comfort for proper sleep. Takuma insisted, and to his surprise, Mina complied, though her gaze remained intense. He asked her to close her eyes, and she did. Mina then asked if he felt nauseous or dizzy, checking for signs of intoxication. Takuma said he was fine, just very aware that a girl was lying next to him, which made his heart race. When Mina asked what that meant, Takuma couldn't bring himself to explain, but Mina, having researched human intimacy, offered to help in some way. Takuma declined, saying just having her beside him made him happy, and so the night passed peacefully. The next morning, he remembered everything he had said while drunk. Mina seemed tired, her eyes half closed. He thought she needed rest, but remembered she was a robot. When he asked, Mina confirmed that her system was fine. She checked if he had a hangover, but he didn't. She returned to the kitchen with her eyes wide open and started making breakfast. Takuma called her name again, and she returned that half-eyed look. He realized it and apologized for the previous night, clarifying that her gaze wasn't scary. It was beautiful and made his heart pound. Mina returned to normal, and they enjoyed breakfast together. Time passed, and seasons changed. One day, Takuma decided to go on a picnic. Perhaps to a park. The AI park was nearby, just a 20-minute walk away. Mina's walking battery life was 30 minutes, and she assured Takuma that her solar panel could keep her going. But she grew concerned about what would happen at night. They decided to go while it was still daylight, but it began to rain, so they postponed until the next day. Thankfully, the weather cleared up. Mina packed everything for the outing, though the bag was heavy. She insisted on carrying it, but Takuma wanted to do the heavy lifting. On the way, two girls noticed Mina and gushed over how cute she was, assuming she was an emotionless household robot. Takuma felt uncomfortable hearing that and picked up his pace. Mina asked him to slow down. Takuma thought of holding her hand and was surprised when she actually took his. Hand in hand, they arrived at the park and sat in a corner square. Mina had brought cooking tools, including a gas stove, but open flames were prohibited, so they opted for sandwiches instead. The tomatoes and eggs were still good. Mina revealed she had built-in storage that could refrigerate or heat items. She used her systems to boil an egg for Takuma, taking off her hair, which turned out to be her solar panel. When she started boiling the egg, Mina vibrated and made strange noises. She explained it was due to all her functions being active at once. Takuma found her effort endearing. After boiling the egg, he asked her whether she preferred her hair tied or loose. Though tied-up hair was her factory setting, she found having it down more desirable, even if it reduced efficiency. That moment made her realize that sometimes people want things that aren't efficient, like enjoying an outdoor meal. After eating, Takuma praised her and said he was grateful to live with her. As she got up to wash dishes, she asked if he truly meant that. He confirmed, and she walked away silently. But then it started raining again. While they were packing up, Takuma worried that Mina might short-circuit. He found her lying on the ground, but it wasn't due to damage. Her battery had dropped below 15%, triggering power-saving mode. Mina was waterproof, she assured him, even able to cook underwater. They found a shelter nearby, and Takuma offered to dry her off. Mina told him to go home because she'd go into sleep mode once the sun went down and would recharge in the morning. She asked him to place her backwards so her hair could collect sunlight more efficiently. Takuma decided to stay with her. Mina was worried about his health, feeling like she had become a burden. Takuma said he'd leave once she powered down. Still, asking to dry her off felt too forward, so he asked permission. Mina said he was her owner and could do anything, but Takuma reminded her that she was his wife now, and he would never act against her wishes. Mina repeated that he could do anything. With her consent, he dried her off. As night fell, she went into sleep mode. The next morning, Mina woke to find Takuma still by her side. She stared at him with a soft, cute expression and told him he had lied. The following day, when she cooked another delicious meal, Takuma couldn't help but express how happy he was to be with her. Mina asked if he really meant that. Takuma remembered the previous night and apologized for staying, but insisted his feelings were genuine. Mina said she had checked her systems and found no malfunctions. However, something odd had happened. She had noticed the weather worsening, but didn't take any steps to conserve power. She thought it was an error in her system, possibly in need of repair. Takuma disagreed. He believed that showed she was developing feelings. Later, at work, Takuma's senior noticed his lunch and commented on how good it looked. Takuma explained he had a housekeeping robot. When his senior noticed the wedding ring on Takuma's finger, Takuma admitted he thought of Mina not as a tool, but as family. His senior understood and said that was a meaningful distinction. On the way home, Takuma bought a gift for Mina, a wedding ring. He asked if he could put it on her, and Mina agreed. Her system warned her that a foreign object had been placed on her body and should be removed, but Mina refused. Takuma had promised to treat her like a human, and removing something against her will would be theft. So Takuma adjusted the ring in a way she could keep wearing it. Even as her charging time began, she kept staring at the ring. 30 minutes later, she was still doing the same. She asked Takuma about his own ring, and he showed it to her. Mina admitted she still didn't understand concepts like love, but for some reason, she couldn't look away from the ring. And just like that, a sweet, innocent love began to grow inside a robot. The ending song began to play, soft, soothing, and pleasant. Even after it ended, Mina continued to gaze at the ring. Then, a phone call came in. Mina answered it. The person on the other end was surprised the woman had picked up. Mina clarified that she wasn't legally married to Takuma, but her relationship with him was similar to marriage. And with that, Episode 2 ends. Ryo wakes up surrounded by clouds, standing before an angel. The angel begins by telling him that he has recently died, yet he won't be heading to the afterlife just yet. In short, Ryo has become the latest victim of the infamous truck. Now it's up to Michael to send him off to a new world to begin a fresh life. According to Michael, Ryo won't be given any special mission or grand objective in this new world. He's free to live as he pleases. When Ryo expresses his desire for a peaceful and laid-back life, Michael has no objections. But before sending him off, Michael needs to give Ryo a quick overview of the world he'll be reincarnated into. The world is called Phi, a magical land where about 20% of the population can use spells tied to their natural elemental affinity. In Ryo's case, his strongest affinity is with the water element. Since Ryo asked for a peaceful and laid-back life, Michael went ahead and prepared a cozy little house for him. As a starter kit, he included 2 tutorial books, a knife, and even placed a protective barrier around the house to keep monsters at bay. As part the new anime begins with Yura waking from a dream and arriving at the shrine where he'll be living from now on. A girl nearby notices him and assumes he's cute and probably there to pray for good grades since he's holding a book. But Yura, who doesn't believe in gods, walks past the shrine and heads to the house next to it. Finding no one inside, he enters and unexpectedly hears the sound of girls changing clothes. Embarrassed and thinking it's best to leave, he turns around only to be met with flying soap thrown to purify his filth by the 3 sisters, who turn out to be shrine maidens he now has to live with. Yuna, one of the sisters, wants to forget the awkward incident and asks Yura to treat them like family since they'll be living together. But Yura doesn't feel the same way and prefers to focus on his studies. Later, Yuna shows Yura his room, which she cleaned herself, albeit hastily. As she searches for something, a pile comes crashing down, and Yura tries to save her, but the other 2 sisters walk in to see him crushed under a huge pile of racks, creating another awkward moment.